Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something right now, real plain and simple. You better start focusing on you. I don't care what's going on. I don't care who left, who doubted you, who talking behind your back, or what storm you're walking through. You've got to focus on yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Prioritize yourself. It's not just a nice quote you put on a coffee mug. That's a life truth. Too many people walk around drained, exhausted, frustrated, and confused, not because they're lazy or weak, but because they've been giving everything they've got to everyone else and leaving nothing for themselves. They wake up every day trying to be everything to everybody. They try to be the fixer, the helper, the motivator, the problem solver. But somewhere along the way, they forgot to take care of their own soul. When you spend all your time pouring into others and never refilling your own cup, you start running on fumes. You snap easier. You get discouraged quicker. You lose that spark, that energy, that fire that made you you in the first place. And what happens then? You still try to keep going, still trying to show up for people, even though deep down you're barely holding it together yourself. That's no way to live. You've got to understand this. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It's a responsibility. You have to rest. You have to set boundaries. You have to give yourself permission to breathe, to unplug, to say no, and not feel guilty about it. Because if you don't do it, no one else will. Life will keep demanding more and more of you until you collapse, physically, mentally, emotionally. And by then, it's already too late. You matter just as much as anyone else you're trying to help. Your dreams, your health, your peace of mind. Those things are not secondary, they're foundational. They would allow you to show up strong, confident, and present. If your cup is empty, you've got nothing left to give, no matter how much you care or how hard you try. You can't keep draining yourself for people and expect to thrive. You have to prioritize yourself, not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but as a daily act of love and survival. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. That's a mindset shift a lot of people struggle with because we've been conditioned to think that putting others first is always the right thing to do. We're told to be selfless, to give, to sacrifice. And yes, those things matter, but not at the cost of your own well-being. There comes a point when constantly putting others ahead of yourself doesn't make you noble, it makes you invisible. And over time, you start losing sight of who you are and what you need. You have a right to choose you. You have a right to say, this is what I need right now. You have a right to walk away from situations that don't serve you or grow you, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Because the truth is, not everyone is going to understand your journey, and they're not supposed to. But that doesn't mean you owe them access to your energy, your time, or your heart. You can love people and still put yourself first. You can care deeply and still set boundaries. You can be kind and still say, not today. When you make the decision to choose yourself, you start reclaiming your power. You stop waiting for other people to validate your worth. You stop living for approval and start living in alignment. That choice doesn't mean you're shutting people out. It means you're choosing to show up for yourself so that you can show up stronger, wiser, and more grounded in every other area of your life. You're not ignoring anyone. You're simply acknowledging that your peace, your health, and your purpose matter too. People might not get it. They might call it selfish, cold, or distant. Let them talk. Because when you start choosing yourself, you stop settling. You stop apologizing for having standards. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that no longer feel right. And that's not selfish. That's survival. That's strength. That's self-respect. Growth requires distance from distractions. You can't evolve if you're surrounded by noise all the time. Noise from people, opinions, drama, negativity, and even your own doubts. Sometimes you've got to pull back, get quiet, and get serious about what you're trying to build. Not everybody is meant to be in your space during your transformation. Some folks are only good for your comfort zone, and when you start growing, they get uncomfortable because you're not who you used to be. You have to be okay with stepping away. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of clarity. You're not better than anyone, but you're better than who you were last year. And that version of you can't stay stuck in the same cycles. You've got to protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Every distraction you entertain delays your breakthrough. Every argument you engage in pulls you off course. Every time you prioritize someone else's drama over your peace, you're feeding what's holding you back. There's power in stillness. There's wisdom in silence. When you step away from the noise, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You start remembering your goals, your values, your purpose. You realize how much energy you were wasting on things that didn't even matter. And once that realization hits, it becomes a whole lot easier to say no. No to gossip. No to energy vampires. No to anything that doesn't align with who you're becoming. Sometimes distance isn't about pushing people away. It's about pulling yourself together. It's about creating space for discipline, vision, and healing. You can't grow in soil that's constantly being trampled. You've got to find fertile ground, and sometimes that means walking away from familiarity. Growth is uncomfortable, and isolation can feel lonely. But it's in that quiet space where your mindset shifts, your confidence builds, and your next chapter starts forming. Let people talk. Focus on your own path. No matter what you do, people are going to have something to say. If you fail, they'll talk. If you succeed, they'll talk louder. If you change, grow, or do something different, somebody's going to have an opinion about it. That's just how it goes. You cannot live your life trying to manage other people's opinions, because even if you do everything right in their eyes today, they'll find something to question tomorrow. So instead of getting caught up in the noise, keep your head down and stay focused on your journey. People talk out of their own limitations. They speak from their own fears, their own insecurities, their own regrets. Sometimes when people see you doing something they were too scared to do, they'll criticize it, not because it's wrong, but because it reminds them of the risks they never took. You can't let that stop you. You've got something unique inside you that nobody else was built to carry. That vision in your heart, that dream you can't shake, that's not random. It's purpose. And you can't fulfill your purpose if you're always looking sideways, checking to see who's judging you, or waiting for everyone's approval. You've got to get comfortable being misunderstood. Get okay with people forming opinions based on only half the story. Let them gossip. Let them assume. Let them speculate. It doesn't change your mission. Your success, your peace, your freedom, none of that is tied to their understanding. The truth is, you don't need them to see it. You just need to keep building. Keep showing up. Keep walking the path that was laid out for you, not the one someone else thinks you should be on. You're not here to convince anyone You're here to complete the assignment on your life. Say no to protect your peace and purpose. You don't owe everyone access to you. Just because someone asks doesn't mean you're obligated to say yes. Every yes you give to something that doesn't align with your goals is a no to something that does. And that's how people end up overwhelmed, off track, and frustrated, because they've been saying yes to everyone except themselves. You have to learn that no is a full sentence. It doesn't require a story, an excuse, or an apology. It just requires clarity and courage. Peace is expensive. Purpose is demanding. They both require you to make intentional choices. That means you can't be everywhere, do everything, or please everybody. You weren't built for that. You were built to live on purpose, not on demand. So when the pressure comes, when people start pulling at you, expecting you to be available 24/7 to show up for everything to fix what they broke, you have to be willing to pause and ask, is this move me closer to my purpose? If the answer is no, then your answer should be no, not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. You're not rejecting people, you're protecting your energy. And people who truly respect you will understand that. The ones who don't, they will only attach to your usefulness, not your well-being. That's not your loss. Your energy is your responsibility, and if you give it away too freely, you'll find yourself depleted, distracted, and disconnected from what matters most. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. They don't shut people out. They filter what comes in. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say no with confidence and not carry guilt for doing it. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. Show up for yourself every single day. Not just when you feel good, not just when things are going right, not just when people are cheering you on. Show up when you're tired. Show up when you're doubting yourself. Show up when no one else understands what you're doing, because consistency is what builds strength, and discipline is what carries you when motivation fades. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Nobody's coming to save you. That's a hard truth, but a necessary one. You are your own responsibility, your dreams, your healing, your growth. That's on you. If you don't show up for yourself, who will? If you don't fight for your vision, who will protect it? You can't outsource that. You can't wait on the right time or the perfect conditions. You have to start where you are with what you have. That means speaking life over yourself when doubt creeps in. That means picking yourself up when you fall short. That means holding yourself accountable even when it's uncomfortable. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, when progress is slow, when you're not sure if any of it even